I recently bought a high-rise condominium directly across from the train station. It's a remarkable place, with breathtaking views and immaculate rooms, but I can't quite wrap my head around why he suddenly brought it up, especially since it was his purchase. What's truly shocking is that he bought this luxurious condo while I was visiting my parents. Can you imagine? I'm left wondering where he found the money for such an extravagant purchase. Amidst my disbelief, he casually mentioned that the down payment came from selling our old home. He even announced his plans to move in with his parents, leaving me behind. Without so much as a discussion, he asked me to leave. I was so taken aback that I could hardly respond. My name is Carol, a 31-year-old housewife, and I'm 8 months pregnant. The excitement of meeting my baby grows daily, but so does my anxiety about childbirth. My husband, Terry, is 33 and works for a prominent company. We've been married for 4 years, and after struggling to conceive, I was overjoyed to finally be pregnant. Now, however, I find myself feeling more nervous than ever. To escape the tension, I often visit my in-laws. During one such visit, Terry's sister-in-law, Madison, asked me, "So, Carol, you're about to have a baby, what do you think motherhood will be like?" Honestly, it still feels surreal. Madison is married to Terry's brother and is one of the reasons I enjoy visiting my in-laws. Although I don't talk much with my brother-in-law, I've grown close to Madison. As a fellow housewife living with my in-laws, she stepped up to care for my mother-in-law after her mobility declined 2 years ago. My mother-in-law uses a cane but manages well on her own. Still, Madison, with her background in caregiving, stepped in without hesitation when she learned of her mother-in-law's challenges. I admire her decisiveness, especially since Madison and my brother-in-law have a 4-year-old daughter. Her experience as a mother reassures me and eases my worries about pregnancy and childbirth. As my due date approached, I decided to stay at my parents' house to prepare for the birth. Shopping for baby items and daydreaming about our future brought me joy, especially after such a long absence from their home. However, 3 days past my due date, I began experiencing contractions. I tried reaching out to Terry, but he was unresponsive. Initially, I thought he might be busy with work or caught up in something, but as my labor pains intensified, I had no time to ponder his absence. All that mattered was the impending arrival of our child. Eventually, I gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. The overwhelming joy of holding her for the first time eclipsed everything else. My husband, who had promised to be there, missed the birth. Exhausted from the delivery, I sent him a text to announce our daughter's arrival before drifting off to sleep. When I woke, I heard someone calling my name. "Are you still asleep? Huh? Terry, is it morning already?" I opened my eyes to find him and his parents standing there, despite my previous request for privacy after the delivery. "Why didn't you come yesterday?" I asked, irritation creeping into my voice. He avoided my question, responding casually, "It couldn't be helped." His nonchalance frustrated me even more. I was caught between the joy of my daughter's birth and the disappointment of my husband's absence when I needed him most. He had chosen to go out for sushi with his parents, claiming it was a prior commitment. Even after their meal, he didn't visit the hospital because he had been drinking, reasoning that he would be more of a nuisance in that condition. It stung to think he was out enjoying himself while I was in labor. When he finally arrived, blissfully unaware of my annoyance, he asked, "Where's our baby?" "She's in the nursery, a healthy baby girl," I replied. My mother-in-law grimaced and muttered, "What a girl, such a useless wife," her harsh words stunning me. My father-in-law echoed her disappointment, calling both Madison and me pathetic. Instead of receiving gratitude for enduring childbirth, I was met with criticism. Even Terry wasn't pleased. "Oh, damn it, I knew it was a girl but hoped for a boy," he said, reflecting his parents' sentiments about wanting a grandson, especially since their first grandchild was also a girl. Their disappointment stung, but to me, our baby's gender didn't matter. She was precious no matter what. In that moment, Terry sided with his parents, deepening my dismay. My anger simmered beneath the exhaustion from childbirth, leaving me too drained to confront them further. Thankfully, a nurse overheard our conversation and intervened, asking them to leave and granting me some much-needed peace. Since then, Terry hasn't come to visit us in the hospital. On the day we were discharged, I called my parents to pick us up. I wanted to escape the tension that awaited us at home. As I sat there, I couldn't help but reflect on how much Terry had changed since we first got married. He used to be so caring, but now he felt distant. I couldn't shake the suspicion that his transformation stemmed from a significant mistake he made at work 2 years ago, which resulted in a substantial loss for his company. While his colleagues managed to soften the blow and shield him from facing the music, that incident had undeniably derailed his career. No matter how hard he worked afterward, he couldn't regain his former standing. This setback might have contributed to his emotional detachment and coldness, even at home. To make matters worse, one of his junior colleagues, someone who had once seemed less competent than him, had been promoted to his boss. This role reversal likely added to the strain he was feeling, making him even more distant and less empathetic. I could see that he was struggling to cope with his past mistakes, and the pressure seemed to make him increasingly irritable over trivial matters. Despite my growing frustration with his behavior, I clung to the hope that the arrival of our baby might inspire him to change, but it seemed he hadn't made any effort to improve, leaving me deeply worried about our family's future. Just as I was lost in my thoughts, Terry's call interrupted me. "Hey, when are you coming back? You've been at your parents' for almost a month since the baby arrived." I wasn't ready to go home yet, but I replied, "Sorry, I'll be back soon. It's time to start fresh and get things together for our daughter." I mentioned that I had many baby items to bring back and asked if he could help with the transport. His response caught me off guard. "No, you don't need to worry about bringing all that stuff back. I actually have something important to discuss with you. Maybe I should have just told you this over the phone instead of asking you to come back." Feeling confused, I pressed him for details. Then he dropped a bombshell. "I bought a high-rise condo right in front of the station." I was taken aback. "What do you mean? Why are you mentioning this now?" He continued to elaborate on the condo's breathtaking views and pristine condition. I struggled to keep up as he revealed he had moved out of our apartment while I was away. "Where did the money come from? You shouldn't be able to afford a loan on your salary." Panic surged through me as he casually added, "I made the down payment by selling our house." I was in shock, struggling to process the fragmented information he was delivering. "What do you mean you sold our house? Where are your parents living now?" His excitement was palpable as he replied, "Mom and Dad are living with me in the condo now. I'm moving in with them, so I won't need a parasite like you around." His declaration hit me like a ton of bricks. He had decided to live with his parents without my consent and was effectively kicking me out. Speechless, I couldn't find the words to respond as he started referring to his parents in a childlike manner, announcing that they were all living together in the condo. To make matters worse, he insulted me, saying, "You're cocky for just being a housewife. You're useless without my salary. Besides, you've been nothing but a couch potato lately." His words cut deep, revealing a harshness that left me questioning not only his love but also our future together. The sudden shifts in his behavior and decisions regarding our lives, made without any consultation, were not just shocking but deeply hurtful. Throughout my pregnancy, as I battled severe morning sickness and prepared for our child's arrival, Terry showed no sympathy. After the baby was born, he callously remarked that I was useless because we had a girl instead of a boy. He even suggested that his parents believed it would be better for him to be with a younger woman who could give him a son, rather than staying with me. On top of that, he mentioned that his parents no longer wanted to live with my brother and his wife, hinting at a lot of family tension. He told me he had stored my belongings in a storage unit and instructed me to retrieve them soon. The conversation turned even colder when he bluntly announced that he had sent me divorce papers and expected me to file them promptly. Without waiting for a response, he hung up. I was left in disbelief, grappling with the reality of being married to such a heartless person. Despite my regrets over my choices, I knew I had to gather my strength for the sake of our daughter. After reflecting on everything, I resolved to cut ties with him and start anew. I refused to let him dictate my life any longer. Divorce? Bring it on, I thought, determined to show him that he would regret this more than I would. My parents were furious when I explained the situation and immediately supported me in taking legal action. As soon as I received the divorce papers, I signed and filed them. 2 weeks later, Terry unexpectedly showed up at my parents' house, furious over a large withdrawal from his bank account. He slammed his bank book on the table and demanded an explanation. Staying calm, I replied, "Haven't you heard of property division? That's what this is. The account is in my name, and I won't give you a cent." Taken aback by my assertiveness, he retorted, "You couldn't have earned that much. Remember, your salary dropped because of your mistake at work. Do you really think you can claim this money?" I stood my ground. "I've been working from home and managed to match your salary. Now we're dividing our assets, especially since you're the one who wanted a divorce." His disbelief was evident. "You're kidding me," he said, stunned. At that moment, my father, who had been silent until now, interjected, "If you want to dispute this, we can settle it in court. How dare you treat my daughter this way?" The tension escalated beyond personal grievances. It was now about legal and financial justice. I was ready to fight for what was rightfully mine and to protect my daughter's future. I regret that my daughter had to endure such turmoil because of Terry. One day, when he attempted to confront us again, my father, who is a police officer, gave him a stern look that sent him scurrying away. That was the moment I finally severed ties with Terry for good, and we settled the division of our assets. Since then, I've been living with my parents, focusing on raising my daughter. The experience of parenting has become more familiar to me, and my daughter's adorable nature brings joy to every day. Life has improved, filled with the happiness that only a child can bring. A few months into our new life, I began receiving persistent calls from an unknown number. Initially, I ignored them, assuming they were work-related, but the caller's determination prompted me to finally answer. To my surprise, it was Terry. "Hello, Carol," he said hesitantly. "What do you want?" I replied, not in the mood for small talk. "How are you doing?" he asked. "Can you come back? I'm having trouble paying the mortgage on the condo, and I might get kicked out soon." he confessed. Oh, so you're short on cash? I responded, lacking any sympathy. Yes, I've used up all my savings. Dad injured his back and had to quit his job, and Mom has been spending money like crazy, bragging to her friends about our life in the condo, he explained, desperation lacing his voice. I wasn't surprised. Terry had never been good with money, and without his father's income and his mother's reckless spending, it was clear he couldn't afford the condo's expenses alone. My bank balance is zero, and I've been told I need to leave if I can't pay by next week. Please come back, Carol. We loved each other once, he pleaded. I let out a brief laugh, then replied calmly, give me a break. You just want to use me whenever it suits you. You're hoping I'll return not just for love, but to handle the bills and the housework, right? There was a pause, and let's not forget when you called me a parasite. Would I not just be in the way now? He attempted to backtrack. I just chose the wrong words back then. What about Madison and your brother? Are they still living with your parents? I pressed. He sighed. They moved out and are living on their own now. They had a big fight with our parents. My brother wanted Dad to be more sensible with money, but that just made things worse. Terry's situation seemed dire, but it was a product of his own choices, a tangled web of financial mismanagement and family disputes. It was evident he was looking for an easy way out by trying to pull me back into his chaotic life. However, I had moved on, focusing on a brighter, healthier future for myself and my daughter, free from the manipulation of my past with Terry. In the meantime, my brother-in-law, usually composed, finally reached his breaking point. I heard he stormed out after telling his parents he would cut ties with them if they continued to disrespect Madison. It was heartening to see him stand up for her. He really did seem like a decent guy. As for Terry, his plea for me to return was met with disbelief. Come back to you? Are you serious? I'm already overwhelmed just taking care of our daughter. I don't have the energy to deal with you. I couldn't help but comment on how odd it was for him to still call his parents daddy and mommy. It seemed inappropriate for someone his age. He then suggested I bring our daughter over to live with them. Weren't you planning to live with her when you first asked me to come back? I challenged, catching him off guard. I would never let my daughter live with such a despicable father. Don't ever call me again, and if you show up, I'll have my dad arrest you, I warned. I could almost hear him recalling my father's intimidating presence as I hung up and blocked his number. Not long after, Terry tried reaching out again from a different number, prompting me to change mine entirely to cut him off for good. Later, I reconnected with Madison, who reached out to apologize for her silence. She explained that they had moved to the countryside and were struggling to set up the internet. Madison and her family now lived in a peaceful rural area, and she invited me to visit. When I did, I was charmed by the serene setting, an ideal place for a child to grow up. During my visit, my brother-in-law shared that Terry and his parents had been evicted from their condo due to unpaid debts and were now facing financial difficulties, a stark contrast to their previous lifestyle. It felt like a bit of poetic justice. Meanwhile, I was working from home and living comfortably at my parents' house. The flexibility of my job allowed me to spend a few relaxing days at Madison's home. I even started considering the possibility of moving closer to her family in the future, hopeful for what lies ahead for my daughter and me. Reflecting on the entire ordeal, it seemed absurd that Terry would impulsively buy a high-rise condo while I was pregnant, especially given our financial situation. It was a reckless risk for someone with an average income. In any case, I was relieved to be rid of such an unsavory husband. I hope to continue enjoying my peaceful life, perhaps relocating near Madison and her family, where harmony reigned, and fostering a happy environment for my daughter.